Has a Money in the Bank cash-in been pitched for SummerSlam? We'll talk about it. Plus, a gimmick is being added to a SummerSlam match, and a top AEW star is missing All In. It's all in the wrestling news right now. So what would you do, Andrew, right? You're just minding your own business on your nice summer holidays, and all of a sudden, somebody comes at you with one of them. Spoils your time.
Where did you pull that from?
I don't know, but it went further than I thought. Money in the Bank potential cash-in for SummerSlam. This comes from Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer, who says that the women's title match featuring Bianca Belair, Asuka, and Charlotte Flair could go thus. Charlotte Flair winning the title. Don't panic! Io Sky cashing in moments later. Taking the belt from Charlotte in that regard.
I mean, yeah.
That's a potential.
That's a
potential Money in the Bank pitch for SummerSlam. Now, Dave makes a really good point when he talks about this that's out there at the moment. The goal is to get Charlotte Flair to 17 world title wins, and we're not massively far from that now, and then go beyond that as well.
Yeah.
So it's a nice way of just chalking one quick title reign up for Charlotte. And, it gives her a run with the new belt, which we know that she really, really wants. And it gets the belt on Io Sky and moves the division along in a rather interesting manner.
Yeah.
Gets us back to Io Sky and Asuka, which I thought we were having for a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I've been hoping for since Io won the briefcase. I wouldn't mind this at all in the slightest, as long as it is that in terms of, Charlotte gets the number she's looking for, but then not long after you've got Io coming in. And then, yeah, like you said, her and Asuka having a little program together. It's also kind of nice because Io was last year's SummerSlam. She was introduced, wasn't she, with Dakota Kai and Bayley on the main roster too. So then that ties it all nicely around together.
Brings it round in a nice loop. Stories coming full circle include the one between Ronda Rousey and Shayna Basler, and we could be having a gimmick added to that match.
Yeah, this comes from Dave Meltzer of The Observer as well. He says Rousey versus Basler in promos will be a fight. We're told the idea is not a street fight, but more of an MMA rules type of match, which makes sense with both having extensive backgrounds.
So expect to have some accoutrement added to the Basler-Rousey match on Raw.
Yeah, I think sort of talk within the office at least was like, oh, what if they made it into like a fight pit match or something like that?
Yeah.
But maybe it's not necessarily that inside that structure. Maybe it is something with, I don't really know the rules of MMA, so I don't know if they do like a round system thing or I don't know how it works.
Tap out, knockout, no bacon on Sundays.
No bacon on Sundays.
I think those are MMA rules. I think we've nailed them.
Yeah.
But it's something but it kind of gives them the carte blanche to wrestle and compete in a very different style.
Yeah.
If you're doing it that way. It's funny because wrestling history is littered with some great potential gimmick matches for MMA style fighters. We had the Lion's Den match with Ken Shamrock, where they had the octagon style thing off the side of the ring.
Yeah.
I remember those. I remember the Iron Circle matches where they'd be in the car park and they'd be surrounded by cars and they'd do like a shoot style fight there. They did the dungeon match in 1998. I think it was Owen Hart and Shamrock in the dungeon.
Yeah.
So they've had like opportunities to do these style of matches before. Obviously the most modern one being the fight pit match.
Yep.
But I feel like a fight pit match would be a TV special or on the next pay-per-view if they do it, as opposed to this one. Boy, I think the MMA rules kind of gives that match a different feel.
I think it gives it a different feel, and it also, I guess, it plays into the strengths of both women too. I think specifically Rousey, I think as well, who maybe hasn't had as much experience as Basler has had in the ring. Them two together doing something that they're both very, very familiar with. I think that wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah, SummerSlam has been littered with incredible moments. One SummerSlam in particular, Fraser Porter is taking a deeper look at on Sunday. SummerSlam 1996 that features the Boiler Room Brawl match, among other things. Of course, Shawn Michaels and Vader going one-on-one as well. Fraser's having a deep dive into it on Sunday. If you can't wait till then, you can watch it on the Patreon right now. If you are a Patreon, at patreon.com/Cultaholic. Now, we haven't seen, there's a few members of the Raw roster we've not seen knocking around for a bit. One of those is Dexter Lumis. What's the latest, Andrew?
Well, this comes from Fightful Select, and they say, for those asking about Dexter Lumis, in light of Johnny Gargano's absence, we're told he's fine and is waiting on creative.
Right, okay. So, I mean, there's not much else you can do with him until Gargano and that are back. They did that thing backstage. They went, the family are back together, and then the family did nothing.
Yeah, I think we've seen Candice LeRae and oh my god, and Indy Hartwell. She recently made like her big main roster debut as well. They were in the tag match, I think, for the contenders match for the
she got injured, didn't she? Before she
thing.
even got into the mix, she got injured. Bless her.
And yeah, things have just felt like they've been halted for the faction, for the Way, for a little while at this point.
It felt like they were going to have a thing where the Way would be there and Gargano would want to bring Ciampa in. And they were like, whoa, slow down, Johnny, she's poison. But then they never really got to it. I think due to injury and stuff like that, they've just kind of, as you say, it's on hold. And because of all that, no Dexter Lumis for a little bit because there's nothing for him to do on the telly. Another thing on hold could be a wild homecoming for Jamie Hayter. So Jamie Hayter had the AEW Women's title taken off her by Toni Storm as a result of numerous injuries, and she's been away from the ring for a while. The hope was that she'd have this big homecoming return match against Toni Storm and take the belt back. Well, Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer is reporting that we don't have much on Jamie Hayter, but there's been at least talk that she won't make it back for Wembley, which obviously would be the goal if possible. I think it'd be devastating if Jamie Hayter doesn't make Wembley.
Absolutely.
I feel like that's a gift.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think the reaction for, if she was there and she came out would be through the roof. It would be phenomenal. But it's a shame. I just hope she's feeling all right. Maybe it will be the goal if she can get there. Fingers crossed. But if not, that's really, really sad.
And it would mean that we would nearly, if she gets better, it would mean that we'd nearly have a match booked for Wembley.
You're not going to let that go, are you?
Do you know what? No, I'm not, because it's in like 4 weeks.
It is in 4 weeks.
You're right. If WWE were pulling this kind of rubbish, we'd be on their
You're
heights.
right. We absolutely would be. We would be. And rightly so as well,
So I'm just saying, we on them. Get a match booked. Regardless of matches, AEW All In is easily going to be, in terms of crowd attendance, unless something drastic goes wrong, the biggest show of the year.
Yep.
Those numbers, booked tickets for Wembley Stadium are phenomenal. Give them some matches. But the whole week leading up to that is going to be really exciting. There's going to be a whole bunch of wrestling promotions that are descending upon London to be a part of the festivities. Pro Wrestling Eve will be one of those, and they are bringing Gato Move ChocoPro to the UK for the first time ever. Now, you may have seen clips of ChocoPro, Andrew.
I don't know if I have seen clips of ChocoPro.
You've seen clips of wrestling taking place in that blue office space.
Oh, I have actually.
With about 20 or 30 people watching around the sides.
Yeah.
And wrestling matches happening without a ring, without any ropes in the center of it. That's ChocoPro. That's the joy that comes from Gato Move. And it's a bit of a mystery for a lot of us outside of that bubble. So I thought it was prime for research. So I had a wonderful chat with ChocoPro star Balianaki, and he gave us a bluffer's guide to the weird and wonderful world of ChocoPro ahead of their show with Pro Wrestling Eve during the end of August. So you can go listen to that on the podcast feed right now if you ever wanted to find out what some of those crazy videos are all about.
I like it. I like that. I'm hoping that the name's like a pun on Chocobo from Final Fantasy as well.
Jack, the Jobber, said the same thing.
Yeah?
It's not.
God damn it.
Amy Sakura wanted to make a show that sounded sweet during the pandemic. It's Chocolate Pro Wrestling.
And it certainly does sound sweet.
It certainly does. The history and the story behind ChocoPro you can listen to on the podcast feed right now. Anything you want to plug?
I got nothing to plug. Twitch.tv/Cultaholic on a Monday, 6 o'clock BST. We've been playing some Mario Kart recently, and we'll probably keep on doing that as well in the week coming.
What a great way to beat the Sunday blues, knowing that on Monday you'll be playing Mario Kart with our boy Andrew. Ways to beat the Sunday blues. And for the latest wrestling news throughout the day, you can check out cultaholic.com. Keys.
Love you, bye.